It's our favorite part show. It's our favorite part show. Belle loves her unfit, blah, 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 Frampa Joe.
It's friggin' bullshit.
Well, g'day there. Welcome to the Off Air Podcast. I'm Liam. We got Ben here.
Hello there.
Yep. Producer Bell anymore. Just Bell. Just regular Bell.
Whoa.
Sometimes I forget. Just Bell.
Hello.
Hi. Producer Andy, are you there in Melbourne?
Yeah, present.
Yep. Cool. Producer Brody, actually in the room with us. Are you here?
Hello, everyone.
Nice. So if you haven't listened to the actual show today, then this might be a bit confusing. But right now, Belle, myself, and producer Brody are in a hotel room in Sydney.
Because we all broke up.
Yep, and Andy...
We can't bear to be in the same studio as Ben.
Andy and Ben are in Melbourne, obviously because of the baby stuff. You didn't want to get caught here for the Logies. I think that the purpose of this off-air podcast is to decide whether we do a Logies broadcast next year. I think short answer, resounding...
Should we just do a vote? Should we do a vote before we talk about it?
All right.
So all those who want to do a Logie show next year say aye. Okay. And all those who don't want to do one next year say aye.
Aye. I think it's one of those things, I suppose, that like it's probably a bit of lag over from the last show, Brody. I mean, you've done a few of these in the past, but like it makes sense because Chris and Sam and Brandy, all respectively, are TV people, so they're on there, sort of out the Logies anyway, so it sort of makes sense. And I suppose when we got asked, "Oh, do you want to do a Logie show?" it was like, "Oh yeah," like I suppose we've never done that before, so like it was very much a. It was a
fun
try.
thing to try.
Well, it was a
Why
try.
not?
It was kind of like, we'll either be like, this is sick, we're going to do this every year, or like, nah.
But you know what? If we didn't do it, then we'd probably be back at the office going, oh, imagine if we did go. Like, oh, it could have been great.
No,
Like,
you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't be doing
When we
that.
spoke to the guests and they're like, "Oh, so how did you enjoy the night? Did you
Yeah, that
love
was
being there?"
awkward.
And we're like, "Yeah, we didn't go."
I was gonna play that we did go to sound cool. I was like, oh yeah, no, we just went a bit early. And Liam's like, we didn't go, and I was like, no, make us sound cool. Yeah, I think they were like, oh,
Yeah, it's, But, you got to try these things. I think the highlight for me was getting to use a bidet in my personal time, and also like the bit we did where Belle sat on the bidet.
Literally, that's like telling of the whole show that the best bit was you guys using the toilet.
Sit on the toilet.
And nothing to do with the Logies, nothing to do with
Literally.
any of the guests. It was just that you using the bidet was probably my favourite break of the whole morning.
Yeah, Belle getting some water shot up her asshole was the best. The best the show
Which is an overstatement because it didn't even shoot up. I thought it was going to shoot up, but it was just like...
I'm telling you, Bill, you're using the wrong pressure. That was the most pressure I've ever had that close to my butthole.
Maybe it's different for me.
Good Lord.
I'm just saying, but yeah, no, it was still fun, and like we had a great night last night, and it's been fun, and we can tick it off now. And if we're not vibing it for next year, the other thing is like we sound like shit because we both got. Would you have a cold?
Oh, no, I just had a big weekend, but
That's right. Yeah, so Liam's coming off like a 4-day wedding prep weekend of partying, and I've just got a cold. So we just sound shit.
But yeah, I think the general rule of thumb is shows outside the studio are harder to do. So the reasoning has to be pretty good as to why you're leaving the studio.
You literally flew...
TV's not of nights.
You flew to Sydney with like with a crew. Like it's not just you two. Like you flew to Sydney with a crew to interview Sonia Kruger and Amy Shark. And use it today.
And Mel Tracino, who works at Nova and his desk is next to our house.
Yeah. It's when we sometimes get tight around the budget, like, oh, I don't know if we can afford stubby holders for show merch. It's like we probably blew a fair bit of money, I reckon, on this one. This is
we blew a lot of money
on a
last
nice
time.
Qantas flight. I like how, because obviously there had to be like all the rooms here are pretty nice, but like there's one big room that was always going to be the spot where we do the show from, and I like Ben how so it was. There's a fair few people. I mean, Marco is helping us. He lives in Sydney, so he just stayed at his place. So Mitch, who's from Melbourne, helped us with the tech stuff this morning, did a great job. Brody flew over, Mace Dog flew over, I flew over, and Belle flew over. And so obviously someone was going to get that good room, and I do appreciate it. It felt like a bit of a big Narvi move. I didn't have to ask, but the big room came to Daddy.
Nice.
The big room where you can blast hot water up your quiche.
So did every room have a bidet or just yours?
No, like I'm in like this deluxe ass suite. Like it's like there's 2 TVs, 2 toilets. The shower's like incredible, and it's all like marble.
Although I haven't been to the toilet at mine, so I don't know if mine has a bidet or not.
Should we do a live cross to Belle's walking back to her room to see if she's got a bidet?
One's
Nah.
enough.
Nah.
I think
one's
we're bidet out.
I think one's enough.
Just like the Logie show.
When did I would like to? When did everyone realise that we shouldn't have done this?
A month
Because
ago.
I-
A month
Yeah,
ago.
months ago.
I'd say Friday. Nah. 5 a.m. this morning for me.
If I
When
can
we
talk,
sat here and we were like,
What do you think, producer Andy?
if I can talk candidly about another radio show for a moment, we were planning on doing some school OBs and getting in amongst the little Kybers over the next kind of month. And then I heard that KISS were doing it, and I listened to KISS's Jason Lauren at schools, and I compared it to the show that we did the day they were at the school, and I thought, I would way rather be in the studio in your comfortable surrounding, good quality tech, rather than being out and like pandering to the school and, you know. So we pulled, we're not going to do the school OBs anymore. We pulled that. By that stage, though, it was too late to pull this. We'd already spent all the money on flights and Liam's deluxe room. So, but
It's
to
Liam's
me,
fault.
it was like, yeah, like what, like, I think we did the best this morning to make a silk's purse out of the sow's ear that we were given, which is to say, for a Logie show, I thought it was fine. But if we were in studio in Melbourne and we were all here and we were talking maybe a little bit about the Logies and everything else that people give a shit about this morning that isn't the Logies, I think we would feel a lot better this morning.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a problem if we're here for the Logies, and not only did we not get to go to the Logies, but we also didn't bother to watch the Logies on the TV. So we were just about as we were like,
Yeah.
we're here for the Logies. What happened?
I think
I don't know, we
that
went to dinner and then went to bed.
this show would have felt better 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like 10 years ago, when people like really cared about the
Yeah.
Logies and the results,
Yeah.
and they talked about it. It would
Yeah.
have made more sense. But the whole time, I was just like, obviously, you know, not saying it to you guys whilst you were on air, because why would I do that? But I was like, what are we doing here?
No, I was fully.
Ben and I weren't talking about the footy in the studio this morning.
It's funny as well. It's so much harder to get because that's the thing when you're like literally having to context that you're in a hotel room the whole time. It's hard to talk about things other than the Logies. You know, it's like, yeah, we're in a hotel. Anyway, this happened to me. Like I had stuff I wanted to talk about, but I was like from the weekend and that. But it's like
Felt weird.
it makes more sense. Like I'd rather do that tomorrow with all the sound effects and that sort of stuff. And oh well, man, I'm sure you're never going to hear the show if you listen to the off-air first. I don't think this has been a necessarily.
I think curiosity will.
glowing review.
And here's a real insight. There's actually something that was so bad that we didn't put it in the pod.
Oh yeah.
What did you put in the pod?
The doghouse. Just no.
You didn't like that?
Nah,
It was terrible.
nah, man. Wasn't our finest hour. But that's all good. It's always good to put your worst bit at 8, 10.
And then come back to it after we'd moved on.
as
We'd
a-
passed it, changed the subject, and then went back to it.
Well, I was told on the producer screen that the calls were very
yeah,
good.
let's not delve into that.
But you know, that's it.
If
That's
I had a
it. You
choice,
can't win
in,
it.
if I had a choice in what went in today's podcast, it would be like the start of the show, and then it'd be Belle using the bidet, and then the show would finish.
So if you listen to the normal pod, you could just skip and listen to the bidet bit and then just not bother with anything else.
Oh man, it's so good.
Wow, we couldn't be more negative if we tried.
That's all right. You know, it's an honesty based podcast. This one, the off air podcast, and holding everyone accountable. But I would say Ben has made a very strong case for Team Member of the Week for coming in on a show where he
Yes.
probably could have just slept in to panel. So it's a
Yeah,
strong play.
I thought,
and
you know,
I
like,
appreciate that.
I thought you would feel better if I was on the buttons. I think Andy does a great job on the buttons, but I thought at least if I was here, there'd be some kind of normality.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good. And,
Yeah.
you know, and therefore really locking down that decade of not having a day off, no sick days.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's not a speck on the record. You
Well,
know?
I actually think
Yes.
that kind of shows the team culture we have, because I thought when I was driving in this morning, honestly, I was thinking of arguments because I thought I was going to get grilled because I came in at 5:15, not 4:30. And I thought everyone was going to go, "Oh, nice of you to show up on time." So
No.
I was
No,
like,
I just
thinking of
didn't expect
I
you
was
to
thinking
go.
of like rebuttals to like, "Oh, why I came in."
Yeah.
Honestly, if you rocked up at 5:45, I'd still be impressed.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, good stuff. And a nod to Mitch for sorting the the mics in the studio dropped out like within 3 minutes of like Sonia Kruger walked in the room and then everything shit itself. But it was pretty clutch,
The
man. He
reason we
managed to-
flew up here.
he managed to fix it in time, so it was good.
I think Andy has a quick order of business.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to do that now, or do you want to wait till the guy? What are you feeling, Sydney team?
What?
Do you want to do Andy's order of business?
You
or do
wanna
wait?
wait till
Yeah,
tomorrow?
we can do that.
I heard a teaser, like I heard it was quite a good order of business. So
Yeah. Well, what does that mean? Do you want it now, or do you want your
Yeah,
bird
let's
in your
just do it.
hand, or
Yeah,
you want
go.
Yeah.
your two in the bush?
go and give it to us.
So it relates to the platter off,
Interesting.
and my performance at the platter off, which I think is fair to say in a word was embarrassing.
Your performance in the platter off, where we all made platters and podcast listeners judged them, was the equivalent of this Logie show. That was about
Yeah.
That was about where we were.
I thought it was telling at the platter off that Belle did a joke platter, and it was actually better than mine. I was very humiliated, and so humiliated that there's almost no coming back from that. There's almost no kind of platter redemption. Almost no platter redemption. I would say I redeemed myself on the weekend
Interesting.
when I put together a platter, and it was complimented by the Premier of Victoria.
What?
What was the
Who did you have?
Victoria at your
Did
house?
you have the Premier of Victoria? Of it?
No,
Were you hosting Dan Andrews?
Dan Andrews, Senator Dan.
I wasn't hosting Dan Andrews. I was hosting his kind of right-hand man, who sent a photo of the platter to the Premier. He said, "That looks great."
What? Why did he
Were
do that?
were they his exact words? That looks great.
I can't remember the exact words.
No,
but
hang
they were
on.
very
Why is he sending a
complimentary.
photo of the platter to him, though? Is Dan invested in our platter off?
Well, he is now. And
Wow.
there's only-
Why did he send him a photo?
I think he's obviously mates with his boss.
Do you reckon?
That's so funny.
Do you reckon you could drop that photo? Do you have any photos of the platter? Like, could you drop it into a group chat for us?
Do you have a
love to see
photo
it,
of the text?
I don't have a photo of the text.
Do you have a photo of the platter though?
I
I would like to see the platter.
can get one. It's not on my phone, but I can get one.
Yeah,
I will
well,
get
if
one.
You, if you get
I'll
it,
get
post
one.
it in the Alpha Squad.
I will.
Yeah, well, Dan Andrews can say his piece, but we all know, politicians they have been known to lie, and they will continue to do so.
It
So
would
it's
be
like,
funnier,
let-
if the Premier was like, that looks terrible.
I would say let the people decide.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing that a little bit later on in the Ben Lehman Bell Alpha Squad. Back to business tomorrow, but yeah, I think a good learning experience this morning.
Yeah.
And looking forward to not talking about the Logies after they happen next
Ever
year.
again.
All right,
All right.
catch ya.
Plinth.
Plinth.
Plinth.